On this episode of the show, I have with me Arvind Thinagarajan. He is the head of enterprise data science and analytics at Gannett, and we're going to be talking about the AI Council. And what are we going to do about that? Well, we're going to talk about what the AI Council is, how it's made up of the different teams within the organization, how they're involved. We're going to talk about what it covers, and we're going to talk about some of the best practices and some of the learnings that Arvind has. He also has some data points as to what the team has been doing within that AI Council. So got a lot of ground to cover. Arvind, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, Amir.
Absolutely. All right. I think a lot of people have heard of Gannett, but before we dive in, why don't you tell everyone what you guys do there?
Sure. For folks who don't know Gannett, Gannett is one of the largest media companies in the US. We publish USA Today, which is our national brand, and we operate over 200 local newsrooms across the country.
Absolutely. All right. So I know we're going to be talking about the AI Council in reference to some of the efforts and works there around AI. So let's start off at the top. What is this AI Council? Give us some background in terms of what it actually means.
Sure. The AI Council is a cross-functional organization with a charter to ensure safe and responsible use of AI across Gannett. And the way it works is, we are very pro AI in terms of the efficiencies that we can drive. We are pretty decentralized in terms of the respective organizations and teams within those organizations come up with ideas. And as part of the AI Council, we want to support the life cycle of that idea all the way to productization through the AI Council with the means that we have available by the AI Council.
Awesome. I guess the AI Council, obviously, that's a great overview. Who joins the AI Council? Like, what's the actual makeup of individuals? Is it is it governed by the technology team, or who's responsible for it? So maybe there's two questions there for you.
That's the best part about the AI Council. It's a completely volunteer-based organization. What we ensure as a leadership group is representation across all teams and departments at Gannett. And it's pretty much the AI Council giving transparency with respect to what the AI Council's charter is, what the roles are. We'll talk about how the AI Council is structured. From our side, communicating how the AI Council benefits not just the individual and their team, but Gannett as a whole. And we have really excited, really dedicated and motivated individuals from across the company raise their arms up and say they want to contribute.
Interesting. So I guess when you guys, I mean, obviously you mentioned that you guys are very focused on AI, and obviously you set up an AI Council to help guide those decisions and some of those aspects of AI. When you're looking at something like this, a council, out of curiosity, where does this type of thing start? Is it something where it's an organizational decision and it's like, we need to set this up? Is it per department? I mean, how did it originate?
It originated right at the top. And, our AI Council is almost 3 years old now, and we've evolved in terms of maturity. It started when generative AI disrupted our industry pretty much, and that's when our CEO realized the need for this AI Council. Our core business is journalism and creating content, and here there was a technology that said that it'll do just that, create new content. And one of the first things that the leadership team did was to communicate how we are going to leverage this new technology that's going to disrupt our industry in terms of equipping our journalists across our newsrooms to be better at what they do rather than to replace them. And there the entire journey of the AI Council started, where we established the need for such a council. We established the goal of that council. We established what the council will not do, and what it's there for. And from there on, we started structuring the council in a way that supports every aspect of the AI lifecycle across Gannett.
So I guess it'd be maybe great to put some context to the various aspects, and I think this is an interesting topic because I think a lot of companies that are trying to leverage AI are trying to figure out similar. And I think companies that are selling AI solutions also need to understand how companies are going to make a decision. So I guess when it comes to the various aspects of bringing AI, right? There's the tech tools, there's policies, there's pricing, there's monitoring, there's a whole host of things. I mean, how many different areas does the council cover from the perspective of understanding AI when it's trying to be brought into the org?
It's a great question, Amir. Let me take a step back and start with the goal of what we're trying to do as part of the AI Council. AI at Gannett isn't just about adopting AI tools and all those technologies you mentioned for the sake of it. It's about leveraging technology to strengthen our core competitive advantage, which is journalism at scale. We have our presence across the US and also UK, and it's not just one national brand like many of our competitors, and that really sets us apart. So through the AI Council, we are constantly thinking about how do we take advantage of that competitive advantage that we already have. So it's not an aspect of just leveraging any sort of AI. So it's centered around creating time and synergies for our newsrooms so they can do more with the time they have. The time they have that gets invested in repetitive tasks that it's critical for our workflows and processes that they need not do, and rather they'll invest all of that time, or they could invest all of that time into doing what they love doing, which is focusing in-depth journalism, connecting with our audiences at the local communities, and so on and so forth. So that said, the way we've structured our AI Council is through a committee or a subcommittee model. At the very top, we have this charter and goal for the AI Council, and the different dimensions that we focus on through those subcommittees are: we have a subcommittee for policies, standards, and education. We have a subcommittee for AI tools and technology. We have a subcommittee for security, risk, and compliance. We have a subcommittee for continuous monitoring and auditing of these AI use cases. And finally, we have a subcommittee which we call the operating model, which is really the glue across all of these subcommittees. Think of it as a horizontal, making sure there are no silos, as these subcommittees operate on and execute on their respective roadmaps.
So I guess maybe walk us through, and I appreciate the context. I think that helped quite a bit. So with the goal of AI within Gannett, right? You went through, you explained kind of what you guys are hoping to accomplish. When the team is starting to look at use cases, where do those use cases come from? Is the council responsible for going out and looking? Is it still a grassroots thing where people are finding opportunities? Is it your team or a similar team where they're trying to identify? Who identifies a use case within this model?
It gets bubbled up at the grassroots level. The AI Council is a pretty open community that meets every other week, and you'll be amazed at the nooks and corners of the organization from where these ideas get bubbled up for discussion at the AI councils. So we do have, as part of the council, we have a framework or a prioritization matrix based on which these ideas and use cases get prioritized, and that determines the level of hands-on support an idea or a use case will get from the AI council. But otherwise, it's pretty democratized in terms of ideas coming through the AI council and moving on to a pilot phase, and then to the enterprise scaling stage of the life cycle as well.
Interesting. And I guess as you're kind of, following these projects and your guys are implementing, obviously taking the learnings back, when you guys are starting to then, put projects into production, does the AI Council hand off some of that responsibility back to the stakeholders? Do they still track what's happening? And the reason I ask is a couple things are coming up with AI in production. One, somebody's got to be responsible for all the aspects of the model and how the model is, still, or the tool is still relevant. Has it changed? Technology is changing so quickly. Has it improved? Has it regressed? So, who becomes responsible for some of those concerns or some of those various aspects?
A great question. Think of the AI Council as the enabler or the facilitator. The AI Council exists to make sure there are no silos across the organization. There is no duplication of effort. We don't have multiple technologies getting built to solve for the same question or the same problem. And the AI Council facilitates partnership and teamwork across organizations to bring the right skill sets, tool sets, and mindsets together in order to achieve a common goal. So the AI Council does not build solutions where they don't have to. It's pretty much banking on the executive sponsor of that, where that idea came from, making sure we have a roadmap in place, making sure through the AI Council we have the right governance in place. The only piece of technology that the AI Council owns is a continuous monitoring and auditing solution. Making sure that we're thinking about monitoring and a responsible implementation framework, even during the ideation stage of that idea. But otherwise, it's pretty much the business need and the business organization that drives the implementation of that idea.
Fascinating. As you're speaking about this, and I'm thinking about Gannett, I'm well aware of the breadth and reach of the media side. When you are looking at your stakeholders, and the reason I'm asking this is when it comes to content, obviously journalists and various people involved in media production, there seems to be an enormous amount of focus and energy on tools for that demographic, because it might be a little bit easier, because a lot of times it's word, it's video, there are automations within that process that makes it easier. You guys have a lot of employees, a lot of journalists, different levels. When it comes to that oversight, and you said obviously you're trying to ensure scale and ensure that type of growth for a tool, how do you, and it bubbles up grassroots, and the reason I'm coming back to this is, as you mentioned, that is, how do you guys handle the volume of tools that could be applicable to the company? And I know this is a little bit slightly off topic, but there's just so many out there. I'm a small content producer. I'm not even, I'm a nobody in the sea of the world. And I get bombarded with, people and tools to help with some aspect of podcast production or this and that. And it's overwhelming for me. So I was just kind of curious what you see from your stakeholders as they are trying to, do this grassroots.
That's the $1 million question, isn't it, Amir? How do you balance speed and responsible progress as we are embracing more and more AI? Here, adoption happens at two different levels. We try to be as tools and technology agnostic at the earlier stages of that life cycle. When an idea comes to the council, we think about, all right, how do we go about testing the validity of this idea? And more often than not, the business sponsors of that idea, they come to us with a plan for how they'd like to test that idea. And at that point in time, all that the AI Council does is make sure we are scoping out the business problem, we are scoping out the success criteria, and the timeline pretty much by which the pilot will continue to evolve. At the end of the pilot phase, we assess the results of that pilot. It could have been developed in a technology stack that allowed us to move fast, fail fast, learn, and just for the sake of proving out value of that pilot. And at that point in time, when we understand the potential value of that use case, we take a call on whether or not that pilot needs to be scaled and expanded to an enterprise level. And it's at that phase where we sort of go back to the drawing board, look at what our enterprise approved technology stack is, and how to make sure this idea or use case is scaled within the approved enterprise technology stack. And we have an IT council, which is again a cross-functional body that ensures that we are not duplicating technologies to answer the same questions.
Very interesting. Out of curiosity, what's the volume of projects that flow through the AI Council? I guess how many projects have you guys launched?
Right now, we have a list of about 87 to 90 use cases that are in the AI Council tracker. Not all of those projects are being worked on at this point in time, but again, the idea of every idea is a good idea or every use case is a good use case. We add that to our tracker and we apply our prioritization framework to those use cases. And at any point in time, given the bandwidth, the funding that's available to execute on a pilot or an enterprise project, the AI Council supports the rollout of that project.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love everything you've described and how the AI Council's come to be, the reasons, and we probably have to have you on in a year or so just to kind of see how it's gone. I think it'd be really interesting to track some of the results and see how, just as you guys have developed the expertise, what's transformed to the AI Council. So that'd be great. And I definitely appreciate.
Love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to have you back. And thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking the time to share. I know you're busy, so I really do appreciate that.
Thanks for having me on, Amir.
Absolutely.
It was great speaking with you.
Absolutely. Likewise. So that's it for this episode. Be back again. Different guest, different topic. Until then, two things. One, I think Arvind did a great job of helping us understand how Gannett is set up in AI Council to actually handle some of the components of ideation and POCs and managing that aspect of AI and all the various components that go into it, from tools, tech, to policies, to monitoring, and all those considerations. So he did a great job. Share this with somebody else that could benefit from hearing the conversation. I'd appreciate that. Also, like, subscribe, leave me a review about the podcast if you would. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.